Welcome back to my garden. It's now the beginning of September 2023. It's been a couple of months. I've not been able to do much in the garden this year because I caught COVID about 2 months ago, and it's only just kind of got to the point where I feel fit enough to be able to tackle my garden again. So you're gonna see what a garden looks like when it's been neglected for 2 months in probably one of the wettest summers we've had here in the UK in a long time. We've had so much rain, everything has just grown humongous. So we'll start off on this little corner bed. So Salvia amistad is doing fantastic. The Colocasia pink china, that was a new plant this year, it was in a little 2 litre pot, is, as you'll see down there, nice and big now. This bed's done really well. A few things are starting to go over. My Iracine that was a little cutting at the beginning of the year has done really well. Some Spanish flag that I planted up the trellis at the beginning of the year has started to go up. I grossly underestimated how many plants I needed. I thought one would fill it, but they don't really go sideways, they just go vertically. As you can see, it's all over this. Passion flower has done very well this year, newly planted as well. Got some flowers in here which is doing good, and this is growing up quite nicely. Acanthus has all done well this year. It was the same last time I done a video. This whole area was full of Tetrapanax, which you will notice have been lifted, looking very sad, but we'll probably pick up just to see if I can root some and pass them on to anybody that wants them. But this whole area was just full, you couldn't walk through here. So that's where these pots have come from, is down the side here. I've left a couple of larger specimens over here that I'm toying with leaving to grow tall, like this one, to try and make a bit more of a canopy maybe. The canna here hasn't grown too tall. It's about 2/3 of the height it normally gets to, which with the amount of sun and rain it's had, I'm surprised, but flowers have all faded on that. The Crocosmias though are out in full flower now. This area is looking a little bit sorry for itself. I need to get in and clear out the weeds, but the blueberries have done well. I lifted and moved a couple of hydrangeas which have started to do a lot better down here now. Another blueberry. My polycarpa green finger and the black bamboo offcut have all done well. Greenhouse has been a bit of a letdown this year. The tomatoes have been particularly poor. I think they've not had quite enough sunshine and we've just been struggling with them this year. Same with the peppers, they're only in small pots still. So we'll see whether we decide to do that again next year. My wife has been talking about doing all the tomatoes outside, just doing a later cropping of them. We've got some tomatoes, but not a lot. Cucumbers have done okay over there, we've had a fair few of those. And then down here, Cycad's done well, hasn't flushed this year, even with all the rain. And this little point in here has kind of been just sitting there for the last 12 months. Somehow this Canatani is still alive, even though I never watered it once last year. This year it's just come back to life. This is kind of where the garden starts to really show itself. So yellow rattle, and then this whole area here from over there right down to here was all of the thistles that just took over this year. Then they basically flowered right when I caught COVID, so I was in bed for a full week. So by the time I had done, they were looking like this, and it was basically no point in worrying about it. So I've kind of pulled out what I could quick at one point, help from the wife, and then left it. Everything down here though is kind of taken very well. The only thing that never done anything was the Clematis armandii. Doesn't seem to have made it through, so that's going to be replaced. But the Aucuba japonica done fine, and the Daphne has done fine. This edging needs to be tampered in, and then I'm going to probably over winter just dig it over and then put some fresh soil on top. just to try and kill off the grass, and then I'll start filling it out again and clearing all of this out, because as you can see it's just been neglected this year. Same this side, we've got, you know, nettles galore coming through from the neighbour's compost. The odd little flower that's popped itself through, but the hedging seems to have stabilised this year. I haven't lost any more. This is the New Zealand privet. This has all done well. My Basjoo that I transplanted has taken and doing well. Lilies have all done well. The salvia's done well, and even the Melianthus major, you can just see down there, has survived. It's a little bit swamped with weeds, but it's still going. The bamboo's enjoyed the extra water this year. It's looking a lot healthier than it has done, so hopefully next year we'll start putting out some bigger canes. This bed is all done well. I've just got back from a National Garden Scheme garden up in Norwich, so I've bought some plants I'll show you a little bit later, and I'm thinking this bed now is probably going to be made a little bit wider, because I've bought a plant that will self-seed and basically fill this bed up, and I want to use kind of a 3-plant scheme with the peonies, the couple of types of black elders that I've got, and then the new plants to fill this whole area out, and let the elders grow tall to kind of give us more of a canopy on this side, then the peonies and this new plant to fill out as a main plant to kind of give the border some volume, and then just have the odd ginger that is in there. It's not done a lot this year, it struggled to get going, but to give a little bit of height coming out of the main clumps of stuff. The Indian bee tree has done very well. It's put on a good 6 to 8 foot of height since it was planted. Everything that's an ornamental that's in here is still alive. You know, we've got lots of things in here at the moment, but there's obviously a lot of weeds as well. I need to go through and sort it all out at some point. Even some of my wife's borage has kind of started to self-seed, which is fine. The roses have actually done really well this year. They've enjoyed the extra moisture. The centurias have all done well. Even this fern that has never particularly enjoyed this spot is getting shaded over by the Akebia. Has actually started to grow again, and as you see, we've got, that's the end. It goes through here, all the way through here, and then from over there. So there's a lot of blackberries to kind of clear out, lots of weed. One thing we have done this year now, finally, is this now gives water. So there's the tap there, and it runs up from the kitchen, and then we've got another one right down at the very end of the garden, and it's such a godsend being able to either fill watering cans or connect a hose to it to be able to water stuff. Haven't needed to this year, which is hilarious. Last year when we really needed it, didn't get around to doing it, and then this year with all the rain is the year that I got around to getting it done. But this bed is basically the throw it in and let it get on with it this year, and it doesn't look as good in real life, I will be perfectly honest. The video is hiding a lot of stuff, but you know, the dahlias are looking glorious. The Cleome is absolutely stunning, and I'm probably going to try and grow more again. The Amaranthus is looking good, so that will be in here forever. The Datura, or Brugmansia, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely amazing. I've never had so many flowers on it. I think it's the amount of water we've had this year has really kind of done the plant good. And then in here you'll notice we have, there's one there and then a very large one over there, some courgette plants. I had some courgette plants left over and basically just threw them in so that they had a chance, and the amount of rain we've had, I've not had to water them, they've just done fantastic. everything that's been moved over here is doing good. Cannas, the Chimerops Volcano, the Achillea, all doing good. We had some French beans, they've all done well. So we need to finish picking these and then probably just get rid of them. But as you can see, I mean, I have weeded this bed twice this year, and the amount of rain just comes back within a couple of weeks, so I've kind of given up. And then in here, the Insetti is looking very good. The Trachea is doing good too. More Cannas and Dahlias, all looking good. Some more Cleome. Mexican mock orange is all doing very well as well, considering how much that was damaged. You know, that's probably put on a good 18 inches of growth this year. Ligularia, that last year was literally wilting every day basically. I was having to chuck a 10 litre bucket on this. It's done fine. I do have some Cannas, or did have some Cannas down here somewhere that don't seem to have survived. You can see the, see if I can get it in there. Where is it? Yeah, in there. That was Canna, but it has rotted. So hibiscus has done fine. We've had a few little flowers on that. The Schefflera has done incredibly well. It's really enjoyed the cooler, wetter summer. And then still some Tetrapanax to clear out. The eucalyptus, this actually got blown over in the wind and was, you know, 3/4 of the way out of the ground when we had a big storm come through, so I've had to restake it. And lilies have all kind of finished. Didn't get too many lily beetle problems this year, so hopefully you know, keeping on top of them early on really is the key to them. I've got a few of the Cannas down here that have kind of not really done anything this year, which is interesting for the amount of rain. Maybe it's just not been warm enough for them to really get going. These peonies are always good. Chimerops, standard Chimerops is looking good. Actually, the amount of rain we've had, there's very little spot on it, which is very nice to see. This bamboo that just loves to lean over. We'll cut through here. The Basjia I separated the other pup from has done well. The Rheum has done very well. The Waggy over at the back there has done fantastic and is looking really good now. That's probably put on about a foot of growth in the last 2 years, actually looking at it now. You can kind of almost see where the lighter growth at the top is. That's kind of where the new growth came from. This Brugmansia is going to come out and flower. This one's not done as well as the ones in the ground, probably because it's limited on resources. It is in a lot of kind of rich compost, but just not quite enough root run. This has done fantastic and has put on another kind of 6 inches of growth here. Salad bed done well at the beginning of the year. It's all finished now. We have a towel of 50/50 with the purple cordylines. As you can see, both of these were hit by the frost. One has shot from the base and is growing. The other seems to be completely dead, which I'm not too sad about. They were freebies from a customer, so that gives me some space for my pots. And my dog is about to bark very loudly again. The Euca Gloriosas have done fantastic. The star of the show actually in this whole bed really is the runner beans. They look so lush this year with all the rain we've had. You know, you get the lovely red scarlet flowers, you get all the fredge that you can eat on it, the fruit. The fuchsia is doing good, cotinus is doing good, more cannas. My little arid plants are all doing good. A new purchase today from Sonia is a little puya, and my agaves and my aloes. My Kebia in this pot with the big thistlin is dead. It didn't survive, hasn't reshot, so that will be going in the bin soon. But everything else here is doing fine. We've even got some flowers on the jasmines, which are looking good. This Musa, I forgot which one it is. Well, the one with the stripes on it, which you can't really see now, but has done very good. Has more of a bluey grey sheen on the trunk. It's done really well. And then some, I think these were meant to be sparkling burgundies, but I think they might just be a bit green because they're in more shade. But this whole end here is going to get changed. The fig will stay, but I'm going to prune it back quite a bit to fit some hard landscape statuesque stuff in, and the eucomis are going to be lifted along with these ones, and probably used as a pot plant. We'll see. But we've had, considering the frost killed all of the figs off of this over winter, we've had probably almost a dozen ripen in the year so far, and there's lots on here that probably just aren't going to, unless we have a really hot late summer. You know, these are laden with fruit, then we'll see. But I mean, these are in the ground, so theoretically they shouldn't be producing as much fruit as they have. They should be more leafy, but they just seem to love producing fruit. This is brown turkey. The Phormium's done well. This bit back here, blessed, is I mean, it is literally as dark as that, but everything back there is still growing fine. This Brugmansia is doing okay. Would probably prefer a bit more sunlight, so I might not plant that here this next year. This might get something else, and I think this bamboo is probably going to be lifted and divided up for other plants. But this part of the garden is starting to look really nice, actually, especially this time of the afternoon. You get the sun coming through the Ensete leaves and you start to get the nice colours. But literally everything here is done incredibly well. I even got round to painting the shed or the summer house in brown instead of the cream. I've still got a little bit to finish off, but it really helps set off all the vibrant greens. And then this part of the garden is looking good, and even my Gunnera is taken and is growing slowly, but hopefully, you know, next year, once it's had its roots in the ground for a full year, will really kind of kick off. I forget the name of this fern that I bought, but this was basically dead when I put it in the ground because I just hadn't got around to potting it out, but it's come back nicely. The begonia is looking great, and what I think of it, this begonia luxurian is looking really good over here too. With some impatiens, they've done really well since I moved them into the shadier area. So lesson learnt for next time. We'll see whether I can make that area that I had them in at the beginning of the year more shady. And then the back end of the pond is just looking a bit scruffy from all the weeds, but hopefully we'll get on top of that at some point. So let's go have a quick look at the plant haul before we finish today. So as I say, I went up to Norwich to Sonia's garden, which is called Helliston's something or other. I forget the full name of it, but it was fantastic. Sonia is an absolutely great garden up there. So yeah, got one little puya, which was great to pick up. Then over here we have this. This is the plant that's going to be going in the back border with all of the black elder. And this is an impatiens. It's Impatiens balfourii. So we have that. Then I've got some free aloe veras. Then we have this, which is the Fuchsia arborescens. Then we have Salvia begins with C. Salvia confetriflora. So they were picked up the other weekend, and the rest was new this year. And my wife's already planted out some other bits. And my colocasia seeds from the start of the year are doing really well. Really need to be potted on. You can see them kind of pushing on the pots now. But yeah, that's the garden at the beginning of September. Hopefully work will start to quieten down a bit over the next month or so, and then I can kind of get around and tidy the garden up and start kind of getting things ready again for winter and starting to plan for next year. So hopefully the next one won't be another 2 months, it'll be in a few weeks time. So we'll see you then.